member's parents say you're doing something on Sunday. Thank you so very, very, very much. And I am told two very good friends of mine, one extremely close friend, your next Congressman, Mark Cartwright, is here. Where are you, Mark? You out there somewhere? There he is. You should be down. Where are you? All right. You should have been down here with me, but thank you for being here, man. And I also understand Eugene Pasquale is here. New Mexico. And Her Honor the Mayor. Where are you, Mayor? Where are you, Jim? I can't see in all these lights. Mayor, thanks for the passport. Thanks for letting me back into town. Well, I tell you what, it's great to be in York, almost heading towards Scranton. We've got to go a little north and east, but folks, I'm going to be serious with you a few minutes here. And first of all, thank you for all showing up on Sunday. It's just a great, great honor to have you all here, and I can please excuse my back and my presentation. But it's nice knowing you have my back. This country faces the starkest choice in my memory, and now that Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan have been nominated at their conventions, those differences are even more stark. Congressman Ryan gives absolutely clear definition to Governor Romney's vague commitments he's been making the last year or so. And Congressman Ryan and the Congressional Republican Party in the House Republican Party, they have already passed in the House what the governor promises to do for the nation. So in a strange way, it's like two incumbents running. We don't have to wonder about what he'll do if he's elected. They've already attempted to do it in the House. And they call their plan new, bold, and gutsy. But the neighbors I come from in Scranton and in Claymont, Delaware, and Brandywine, Hunter, there's nothing gutsy about giving $1 trillion tax breaks to millionaires. There's nothing bold about turning Medicare into a voucher system in order to pay for it. And folks, there's nothing new about this plan. It's not only not new, it's not fair, and it's not right. It won't grow the economy. It didn't do it before. Folks, we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends.
I walked out on that
movie. And all those things they lamented so soulfully about at their convention. Lost jobs, that's how it ends. Stagnant wages. Seeing the equity in your homes evaporate. Your retirement accounts drained. It ends in a catastrophe for the middle class. And Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan are running on a theme as well. Their theme is restore the dreams and greatness of this country. But what they're not telling you is that the very plans that the Congressman voted for the past 14 years, the very economic policies the governor supported, the governor as businessman supported it, the governor as governor supported it. These are the very policies that put America's greatness in jeopardy in the first place. I found it absolutely startling, fascinating, listening to the parts of the convention I saw. How do they think we got in this place in the first place? How do they think we got the greatest recession in history of the United States short of a depression? It's like my little granddaughter, Hunter's older sister. She'd say, "Who did it? Pop Caspi, the friendly ghost?" I mean, where did it come from? Did it just descend from the sky all of a sudden? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot they didn't tell you at their convention. When Congressman Ryan what they didn't tell you, when Congressman Ryan came to the Congress in 1998, during a Democratic administration, America had a balanced budget. The middle class What they didn't say was that on the very day we were sworn in, as the president sat behind the desk resolute on the first day in office, he was handed a bill for that year of $1 trillion deficit. Nothing he could do about it. The fiscal year is halfway over. The middle class was devastated when we took office. And much of what they did tell you, quite frankly, is not on the level. Look, you heard Congressman Ryan.
Republicans fly!
You heard Congressman Ryan on Wednesday night blame the closing of a GM plant in his hometown.
Yeah, right.
Folks, I don't need you booing, I need you voting. I don't need you. My plan. Well, he was right about one thing. The closing of that plant devastated his community and was devastating for those people who lost their jobs. But what he didn't tell you was that plant in Janesville actually closed while President Bush was still president of the United States. What neither he nor Romney said, but for the sacrifices the auto workers made and the courage of a president, all those GM plants would have been closed. Proud men and women back at work on the assembly line and the plants that feed that assembly line. 200,000 workers would still be unemployed, not being able to raise their families, and a million Americans would have lost their job. Ladies and gentlemen, GM would not have been reorganized. It would have been liquidated, along with Chrysler. And as the CEO of the Ford Motor Company personally told me and has said publicly, without that reorganization, Ford would have been devastated as well, because the supply chain would have evaporated. Ladies and gentlemen, what they didn't say, ladies and gentlemen, they didn't acknowledge. I didn't hear the governor say in his speech that he wrote an editorial entitled "Let Detroit Go Bankrupt." Where was that as part of what his philosophy was? He said, though, later, he said, if we stepped in to help, GM would be, and I quote, the living dead. I didn't hear him say that again. What they didn't say is the auto companies, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, have committed to invest another $23 billion in expansion of new plant equipment. They're not doing it the Bain way. Not in Mexico, not in China, not in Vietnam. They're investing $28 billion in the United States of America. You got it, man. I tell you what, and know what was most amazing? During the convention, they discovered the middle class. They discovered the middle class. Listen to what they said. Congressman Ryan, when he said at his convention, he said, quote, the truest measure of any society is how it treats those who cannot defend or care for themselves, end of quote. That's what he said. So let's look about how they measure the society. Let's look at what he and Governor Romney want to do. And the best way to do that is the way my dad used to say. He'd say, when someone would let me tell you what I value, let me tell you what I care about, my dad would say, don't tell me what you value or what you care about. Show me your budget. I'll tell you what you value. Let's look at their budget. Massive cuts in Medicaid, throwing 19 million people off of health care, including 1 million seniors and millions of children. Giving seniors a stipend in Medicare, giving them a stipend, a voucher, worth less than the Medicare they now have, to allow them to go out and shop for insurance, to get the best deal they can find. Massive cuts in Social Security for future generations. Make massive cuts to early education. Kick 200,000 kids from working class families out of Head Start and early education. Cut $4.9 billion in elementary and secondary education. This is the budget. They knocked 6.6 million young adults off their parents' health care coverage, as you heard what is happening in most families, including the beautiful woman who introduced me. They put insurance companies back in charge of your health care. No, they do. No, seriously. You eliminate them, they put them back in charge of your health care, allowing them to cut off your coverage when you get sick. Or when you hit a limit, which they call your limit, usually at the very most critical time of the expensive care you need as you're fighting to stay alive or keep your parents alive. Allowing them to charge, once again, a different insurance rates for a woman and a man. So much for helping qualified kids from working class families. Look what they do. They cut the Pell Grants. They cut Pell Grants and eliminate tax credits that many of you parents are able to take now to help send your kids to college. They eliminate them. You know, I'd like to change the quote of my distinguished colleague, Congressman Ryan. I think the truest measure of a political party is how it treats those who cannot defend or care for themselves. By that standard, it's no contest here. Folks, this is not your father's Republican Party. This is not. Seriously. Nope. I worked a long, long time over the years with some really stand-up Republicans who had disagreements with us, but not like this. The Bob Doles, the Howard Bakers, the so many people who I work with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not even Mitt Romney's father's Republican Party.
That's right.
When you press them, you take a look at why they're doing all the things I mentioned. Why is it? Well, folks, they're doing it in the service of massive tax cuts to the very wealthy. Because if they do not provide those, if they were not to make all those draconian cuts I mentioned here for middle class and working class people, it would balloon the deficit out of all proportion. And it would even raise taxes for middle class folks higher than they're going to raise them now. Let me give you an example. And I don't want to keep you a long time, but just give me one example.
All right.
Love you, Joe. Of that tax cut, for the quote, top 2% that Governor Romney insists, and Governor Ryan and the entire Republican Party to a person, I think, say they have to keep it. Of that tax cut, $800 billion of it, it's cost $1 trillion over 10 years. $800 billion goes to people who make a minimum of $1 million. Now, of that, and this is the truth, the press is here, all the national press is following. Everybody can fact check this. Of that $1 trillion tax cut they want to keep, $500 billion of it goes to only 120,000 families. That's the God's truth. 120, I'm sure they're patriotic, decent Americans, but I am also sure that they sure don't need another $500 billion. President Clinton, these guys are Bush on steroids, because here's what I want to do. On top of maintaining that tax cut, this is the truth, they want to add another $250,000 a year tax cut for everyone making over $1 million. So you wonder why they're eviscerating the middle class. And this has a giant price tag, not only for the deficit. The nonpartisan group, there's a group called the Tax Policy Center. It's nonpartisan. It took all their data and it examined it. And here's the conclusion the nonpartisan tax policy group reached. That middle-class families with children, as a consequence of their Republican tax policy, would have their taxes increase $2,000 a year. Now guys, forget about, sort of campaign lines. How can that be fair? How can it possibly be fair to raise the taxes for middle-class families with children by $2,000 and give a $500 billion tax cut to 120,000 families? Folks, on top of that, Governor Romney says in the first 100 days, he repealed the Wall Street reforms. He let the banks once again write their own rules. And listen to what he says about foreign policy. You caught some of it in his speech. He said it was a mistake to end the war in Iraq and bring all of our warriors home. He said it was a mistake to set an end date for our warriors in Afghanistan and bring them home. He implies by the speech that he's ready to go to war in Syria and Iran. He wants to move from cooperation to confrontation with Putin's Russia. And these guys say the president's out of touch? Out of touch? Swiss bank account, untold millions in the Cayman Islands? Who's out of touch now? This is no time to turn back. We have to continue to move forward. I am absolutely certain, there's not a single doubt in my mind that we're on the way to rebuilding this country stronger than it was before. More vibrant than it was before. And the reason I'm certain is because I know you. I know you. Given a half a chance, the American people have never, ever let their country down. I believe in you. Ordinary Americans, we believe in you. And guess what? It's never been a good bet to bet against America.